So this all happened about 2 weeks ago, and it's still messing with my head. For context, I'm 27-year-old, and my now ex-girlfriend is 25-year-old. Let's call her Maya. We were together for just under a year. Everything was going great, or at least I thought it was. She'd recently introduced me to her close-knit group of friends, and I'd met her brother, Jordan, 29-year-old, a couple of times. They all seemed chill, though a bit cliquey. Like, they loved to joke among themselves and sometimes excluded others from the convo, but I chalked it up to shared history. Maya and I had this understanding when it came to finances. We split things fairly. Sometimes I paid for dinner, sometimes she did. I work as a systems analyst and she's a freelance photographer, so our incomes are a little different, but we both agreed early on not to make money a big deal. That was until her friend Kelsey came into the picture more often. We went out with her and another couple one Saturday night. The restaurant was definitely on the pricey side. Think $30 plus entrees and $18 cocktails. I ordered conservatively, just a burger and water, but Maya went full out. Appetizers, wine, dessert. Same with Kelsey and the rest. When the bill came, Maya looked at me and smiled like, "You got this, babe?" I kind of froze. Not because I couldn't afford it, but because this wasn't what we agreed on. I hesitated and said, I thought we were splitting tonight?" The table went dead silent. Kelsey raised an eyebrow and said something like, "Wow, really?" In that tone, that's not really a question. Maya laughed awkwardly, but she looked embarrassed that I paid for my part and offered to cover a bit more. But Maya insisted on covering her own when I didn't just pick up the whole thing. The vibe was totally off for the rest of the night. After that dinner, things between Maya and me just changed. It wasn't obvious at first, but the energy was different. She wasn't texting as much. She bailed on plans we'd already made, saying she was exhausted from editing or needed a night in. Fair enough, I respected her space, but it didn't feel like space. It felt like a slow fade. Then came the little jabs. Point one night while watching Netflix, she said, "It's nice not having to worry about who's paying for dinner when I hang out with real men." I laughed at first, thinking she was joking, but she didn't smile. Another time, she showed me a TikTok her friend Kelsey had posted. It was some dumb skit about women pretending to go to the bathroom while the check comes, with a caption like, "When he's broke but still thinks he's the prize." Maya was tagged in it. She said it was just a joke and not about me, but come on, it was clearly about me. Then, I overheard something I wasn't supposed to. I went to Maya's place one Friday night. She was in the shower, and her phone buzzed on the couch. I didn't go through it, I swear, but I saw a preview of a message pop up on her screen from a group chat called Queen Energy. The last message said, "Did he seriously make you pay again? Jair'll dump his stingy ass." I froze. I didn't want to jump to conclusions, but this wasn't about just dinner anymore. This felt coordinated, like they were actively convincing her that I wasn't good enough. I couldn't believe how quickly things had gone from fun and flirty to whatever this was. Still, I didn't confront her that night. I figured maybe I was overreacting. Maybe it was just venting. But I started to keep my guard up. That guard wouldn't help me for long. It all came to a head the next weekend. Maya invited me over to talk. That phrase always sets off alarms, right? I knew something was coming, but I didn't expect this. We sat on her balcony, and she had that serious, rehearsed look, like she'd practiced what she was about to say. She started with, "I think we want different things." I asked, "What do you mean?" She sighed. "You're a great guy, but I've been doing a lot of thinking. I need someone who doesn't make me feel like I have to justify expecting to be treated like a woman." I just blinked. "So this is about the restaurant?" Maya tilted her head. "It's not just that. It's the mindset. Real relationships are about providing. I want a man who takes care of his partner." I said, "You mean like your friend Kelsey's boyfriend who works 70 hours a week and looks like he's dying inside?" She didn't even smile. "You don't get it. My friends helped me see that I've been settling. I'm not trying to be mean. It's just clarity. Clarity. Right? I felt like I was in a movie, like some cult had pulled her in and rewired her brain. This wasn't the Maya I knew. This was someone who'd been told she deserved more, but that more was just code for money. I asked her, Would you have broken up with me if your friends didn't push this narrative? And she said, they didn't push me. They helped me realize it. That hurt more than I expected. It wasn't just rejection. It was betrayal from someone I trusted. Someone I thought I was building something with. She hugged me goodbye like I was a summer internship that had ended. I walked out of her apartment numb, trying to make sense of what the hell had just happened. But it wasn't over yet. A few days after the breakup, I was doing my best to move on. I wasn't texting Maya, wasn't checking her socials, just trying to keep it clean. But then I got a message from Jordan. Her brother. It was weird because we were never close. I'd met him maybe 3 times. Always polite, but a bit cold. His message said, "Hey man, can we talk? Just the 2 of us. In person's better." I didn't know what to expect, but curiosity got the better of me. We met at this park near where Maya lived. He showed up in gym shorts, arms crossed, like he was trying to size me up. He got right to it. "You embarrassed my sister." I blinked. "What?" He stepped closer. "You made her look stupid in front of her friends. You think that kind of humiliation doesn't stick with someone." I tried to stay calm. "All I did was expect her to split a bill, like we always did." He scoffed. "You should have just paid. It was a test." A test? Apparently, according to Jordan and his worldview, a real man covers everything when the girlfriend's friends are watching. Maya's friends told him I disrespected her, that I treated her like just some girl, not a partner. That I said, "With all due respect, you weren't in that relationship. I treated her with honesty and fairness. If that's not enough, then yeah, I'm not her guy." He paused and gave me this smirk I didn't like. Then he said something that set off every red flag in my body. "Let's see how you like being judged in front of your people." I asked him what he meant, but he just walked away. That I didn't realize until the next morning that he had followed through with a petty, calculated move. The next morning, my phone blew up. Group chats, DMs, even an email from an old friend I hadn't spoken to in months. All with variations of the same message. "Dude, what is this post about you on Hive? Yo, you really said your girlfriend should earn her dinner? Bro, you're getting roasted." I finally opened Hive. Jordan had made a public post with screenshots, out of context quotes, and a whole essay dragging me. The worst part? He made it look like I told Maya she wasn't worth paying for, that I don't believe in treating women, and that I expect equality until it's inconvenient. And people ate it up. The comments were full of strangers calling me cheap, emotionally manipulative. The reason women need group chats. Kelsey and Amy were in the replies, adding fuel, pretending to clarify the situation but really just twisting the knife. I wanted to throw my phone across the room. First, I panicked. I typed up a long defense, screenshots of texts between Maya and me, photos of gifts I'd given her, receipts where I paid for dinners and trips. But the more I typed, the more I realized something. I didn't want to argue with people who had already decided who I was. I deleted the draft. I didn't post anything. Instead, I reached out to the only person who mattered in all of this. Maya. I sent her a short message. "I know your brother posted that stuff. I'm not going to fight you or him online, but I expected better from you." She read it. No reply. I felt humiliated, misunderstood, and more alone than I'd been in years. But at the same time, I felt something else. Clarity. Not the kind Maya talked about. The kind you get when someone tries to ruin your name over a dinner bill. The week after Jordan's post was brutal. People who barely knew me suddenly had very strong opinions. A guy from my old job DM'd me saying, "Didn't peg you for the split the bill type." A girl I went on 2 dates with 3 years ago commented on the post, claiming I always seemed controlling. Couldn't sleep, couldn't focus at work. Even my manager noticed. I told him I was dealing with personal stuff. He just nodded. But the worst part wasn't the strangers. It was the silence from people I considered friends. My own social circle didn't defend me. A few guys texted me privately, "Bro, that's rough," or "You okay?" But no one stood up for me publicly. Not one person commented on the Hive thread with, "Actually, I know this guy, and this doesn't sound like him." That silence hit harder than the hate. I started second-guessing myself. Had I been too rigid? Should I have just paid that night and avoided all this? Was this my fault somehow? I kept replaying that dinner in my head, what I said, how I said it, whether Maya truly felt disrespected or just embarrassed in front of her friends. And then came the guilt. Not for what I did, but for how naive I'd been. I genuinely thought I was in an equal partnership. I thought I was dating someone who valued fairness and communication. Turns out, I was in a silent competition I didn't know I was losing. By Friday, I stopped checking Hive. I muted Maya and Jordan on every platform. I went offline for a bit. I needed to stop being angry, stop being sad, stop being involved. I wasn't ready to move on, but I was ready to start letting go. About 10 days after the Hive post went viral, I got a message that caught me off guard. Not from Maya, not from Jordan. It was from Maya's cousin, Lena. We'd only met once at a family barbecue, but she was cool, quiet, observant, the kind of person who listens more than she talks. Her message just said, "Hey, just wanted to say I saw what happened. Not everyone in her family agrees with how it went down." I stared at that message for a while. It felt like a rope being thrown to someone drowning in silence. I thanked her, and she followed up with, "Maya's been really caught up in her friends' opinions. I think she let them speak for her. Doesn't excuse anything, but just know it wasn't all her." I asked, did she really think I disrespected her? Or was this about optics? Lena responded after a pause. "Honestly, I think it was 70% embarrassment, 30% pressure from Kelsey. You didn't humiliate her, you just didn't perform the role they expected. That's all it took. That kind of broke me. It wasn't about what I'd done. It was about what I hadn't pretended to be." I asked Lena if Maya had seen the damage Jordan caused. She said, "She's not proud of it, but she hasn't said anything to stop it either." That told me all I needed to know. Still, I appreciated Lena reaching out. It was the first time in days I felt like someone saw the full picture, not the twisted Hive version. And weirdly, it gave me a sense of closure I didn't know I needed. Not from Maya, from reality. From realizing that sometimes, people won't fight for the truth, even when they know it. After Lena's message, something inside me clicked. I'd spent 2 weeks swimming in other people's opinions, accusations, and assumptions. But none of them were me. And none of them actually knew what my relationship with Maya was like behind closed doors. So I did something simple, but powerful. I wrote everything down. Not to post, not for revenge, just for me. Start to finish, the dinner, the group chat messages, the Hive smear, Jordan's weird alpha male confrontation, and Lena's quiet truth. I wrote it like a story. When I read it back, I didn't see a villain. I saw someone who tried to do things right. Someone who valued honesty over performance, fairness over optics. Someone who got punished not for being cruel but for not playing a role. That gave me strength. I started reaching out to people who actually mattered in my life. Friends who had gone quiet. I didn't confront them. I just told them I'd been through something ugly and didn't expect them to take sides, but that their silence had hurt. Some apologized, some didn't reply. But again, I got clarity. And most of all, I stopped caring what Hive thought. That app could burn for all I cared. I also unfollowed Maya's entire circle, including Jordan. Not out of spite, but because I needed a firewall. I didn't want their voices echoing in my head anymore. The next weekend, I went out with a few of my actual friends. No gossip, no fake loyalty, just beers and trash talk about fantasy football. And for the first time in weeks, I laughed. Not bitter, not forced. A real, full laugh. I was done being the villain in their group chat fairy tale. Life after the fallout didn't bounce back overnight, but it did start moving forward. I doubled down at work, hit the gym more regularly, even started seeing a therapist. Best decision I've made in years. I wasn't trying to glow up out of spite. It wasn't about proving anything to Maya or her circus of friends. It was about putting myself back in the driver's seat. I'd stopped checking Hive completely. Deleted the app. But one night, a buddy sent me a screenshot. Jordan had posted again. This time it was more subtle. A meme about men who asked to split the bill, with some snide caption like, "You're not broke, you're just a burden." He didn't name me, but everyone who saw the first post knew who it was aimed at. I felt that old burn in my chest. That urge to strike back. And I almost did. I still had screenshots Maya sent me once. Texts from Jordan ranting about his own breakup, about how his ex used him for dinners and treated him like a wallet. The irony was rich. I had receipts, and I could have exposed his hypocrisy with one post. But I didn't. I stared at the screenshots for a long time. Then I deleted them. Not because he didn't deserve a taste of his own medicine, but because I didn't want to be him. I didn't want to be another petty man lobbing grenades online to prove he'd been wrong. If he needed me as his villain to feel better about himself, so be it. Let him play that part. I was done with the show. And something strange happened after that. I stopped thinking about Maya. Not in that bitter, aching way. More like a fog lifting. She became part of my past, not my present. It's been a few months now. The chaos, the posts, the whispers, they've all faded into the background noise of the internet. Maya moved on, I assume. I never looked again. Jordan probably still thinks he won something. That's fine. That I learned a few things I wish I'd known earlier. And if you're reading this because you're in the middle of your own hive-style meltdown, here's what I'd tell you. 1. Performative relationships don't survive pressure. If someone is more worried about how you look together than how you treat each other, run. That's not love. That's branding. Point 2. Groupthink is real and brutal. Some people will let their friends steer their emotions like a damn cruise ship. Don't beg to be understood by people who've already picked their villain. Point 3. Boundaries aren't rude. They're necessary. You're not less of a man for expecting fairness. You're not cheap for wanting balance. You're protecting your energy. And that's survival. Point 4. You can walk away from revenge. I won't lie. It would have felt amazing to drag Jordan publicly. But peace hits harder. Nothing rattles bitter people more than being unbothered. And finally, 5. The right people don't need to be convinced. When you're with someone who truly respects you, you won't have to explain why self-respect isn't selfish. They'll get it. They'll get you. But me? I'm just glad I found out who I was really dealing with before I spent another year building a future with someone who valued performance over partnership. Wouldn't change a thing.